Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. This came in the mail the other day, and I didn't know who to thank because there was a return address on the package, and it was a little Etsy seller called Masha's Watercolors, and I'll link it down below because it's just gorgeous. And I was like, that's weird. I didn't order anything, and so I opened it up, and this was inside. I was trying to not have my address. This was inside. And it says, cheers to you from a fan who thinks you need more granulating paints. So I had a pretty good hunch who this might have been from. So I did some investigating. I actually contacted the shop and she wouldn't tell me who it was from. And so I started thinking, and I reached out to my friend Rosie, this had Rosie's name written all over it. I mean, come on. She's so good to me. And who she has actually, she has an Etsy shop where she makes these gorgeous handmade sketchbooks. And, oh, they're so nice. They're my favorites. And so I asked her, do you know anything about a set of watercolors that arrived? And she's like, no. Then she's like, oh, wait a minute. She's so generous, she forgets being generous. So this was actually from her and that watercolor shop. Masha's Watercolors, and you gotta look at this. I mean, I had to record that. I've been dying to swatch these out, but I'm like, I've got to open this up for you guys because it's so pretty. And I know we're always looking for unique stuff like this, especially if you have, a friend or a family member who's into watercolors and you don't know what they have and you want to get them something special and nice and something they probably wouldn't treat themselves to. So I'm going to share this with you. I'm not doing this to brag. I hope it doesn't come off that way. You never want anyone to feel bad. Paint with the paint you have, absolutely. But I just want to share this because I think it's so absolutely beautiful, and it might give you some ideas for upcoming gifts to get others, or you might even want to ask for something like that. So check this out. It's like magnets. Isn't that satisfying? I think those are like the rare earth magnets. So in here it says Masha's Watercolors. This is ceramic, I believe. It feels like ceramic. Little mixing dish here. And here we have half pans, 12 half pans. And there's a little hand-painted swatch on each label. I just thought this was so gorgeous. And I did check out her Etsy shop. She has all the colors individually. Also, like as half pans or dots. And then she has sets like this, and she has a couple different palette styles and empty palettes too if you just kind of want a cool palette to put your own paints in. It's really fun. Now, I don't have that many handmade watercolors. I generally don't review handmade watercolors because I don't feel comfortable enough. I haven't used enough to really be educated in how they should be. But this also came with some beautiful dots, generous dots. A dot of watercolor. It's kind of like a sample. You know how you can buy like sheets from like Daniel Smith and Schminke and stuff that have a little drop of paint on it. These are pretty generous sized dots. And then got some stickers. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. The dog with a paintbrush. You got a leaf here, a leaf and paintbrush. Or is it a little leaf person? I think it's a little leaf person. That's kind of cute. Or maybe it's a magnet, actually. This might be a magnet. Do I have something metal? Oh, you know what? I'll try to see if it'll stick to my... Yes, it's a magnet. Oh, that's a magnet. Look at that. That's neat. Stuck to my tin. And then she also puts swatch cards in there, so you don't even have to... make your own swatch chart if you don't want to. She's got swatch cards right there. And this says, Masha's watercolors are made with honey and remain semi-moist. Please place in the freezer for 10 to 15 minutes for easy unwrapping. Thank you for your purchase, Masha. So I don't know if I'll need to do that because although I have had the heat on in my studio this morning, I doubt that it's going to be that warm that it should bother these. I believe that company is in Arizona, so they probably have, yeah, Buckeye, Arizona. Although I think it's pretty dry in Arizona because they're so high up. I'm going to be very careful when I take these off, and I'm going to make a swatch page in my swatch binder because I saved the wrappers. That was a tip from another viewer, Eve. She said that that's what she does. She told me that a couple of years ago, and And that was, I've been doing that ever since because it's so handy, because then you've got the pigment information, you've got everything right there. These are so fine. They're like candy wrappers. Like candy foils. Oh, it's got magnets in them too. Look at that. Oh, wow. Yeah, beautifully hand-poured watercolors, and there's a little magnet in there. I guess that's if you want to put it in a tin. It's got a little magnet on the back, I think. Let me start sticking that to my pencil tin here, my pencil tin lid. Yep, look at that. Wow. So that's probably how they sell them, so that if you don't have one of these palettes, you could also put them in whatever palette you do have. That's really thoughtful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is unwrap these, and I'm afraid if I do it on camera, I'm going to lose track of the order the labels are in. And then I'm going to swatch these out. So we could swatch together. Why not? You guys can fast forward if you want to. That's the beauty of YouTube, right? Okay, let's do some swatching. Again, I don't know if you like swatching, watch it. If you don't, then don't watch it. That's all I can say. So I've taped down the labels using double-sided tape, and then I'll put a piece of clear tape over the top. That way I don't lose any wrappers, because sometimes you lose a wrapper when I do this. And then this swatch will live in my swatch binder, which you've probably seen in past reviews. And yeah, so I'm just putting I didn't pre-spray these because I want to see how they do. They seem to reactivate really well. Ooh, look at that. When you go really strong, I guess if you pre-spray, you are going to get some really thick paint. That does seem to have some nice granulation, which is odd for a yellow. Tiger's Eye. Let's see what the pigments on that are. PY 150 and PR 102. PR 102, I don't think I've ever had that in anything. PR 101 is like some people use it for burnt sienna. There's Indian red, Venetian red, English red. That must be where the granulation's coming from, because PY 150 is green gold and it's a very vibrant. That's where you're getting all that color. This next one is called Flame. Now, I don't know what I did with my favorite glasses. I do have another pair of glasses that has that same prescription, but so if I'm just saying this because in case I can't read some of these labels, I have no idea. So I have two pairs of glasses with my current prescription. I'm wearing ones with an old prescription because once you start wearing plastic frame glasses, it's very difficult to go back to metal frame glasses because they're so much heavier. So I might not be able to zoom in on those little tests. So that one is PR 144, PR 101, and PY 150. So again, we've got that yellow. We've got the same. No, that's PR 101. That would be like your burnt sienna. Well, some companies like Winsor & Newton uses that for burnt sienna, and or English red, and PR 144. I'm not familiar with that pigment either. Then we've got Peach. That looks very, very, ooh, that's a pretty color. That's got a little, like almost a quinacridone feel to it. I wonder if all these granulate. Let's see, that one is PR 122, PR 233, and PY 40. PY or PV? Guys, I think it's PY, but don't take my word for it, please. Okay, the next one is called Weathered Rose. Oh, that's a nice name. I did my stripes with a alcohol marker. It's an Art and Fly marker, but I only had a black refill. It had gone dry with like the Blick refills, and those reek. I didn't realize how badly that the Blick brand refills reek. I could smell that for a minute. Now that's pretty. Let's see. That is PR 122, PB 29, which is ultramarine. That's a very granulating blue, and PY 40. PY 40. What the heck is PY 40? PY 42 would be like. I wonder if it's another earthy pigment, because PY 42 and PY 43 are like your yellow ochre, but it's not dull. I'm not getting a dullness off those. I'm not comfortable reviewing handmade watercolors just because I don't typically use them, so that's why I don't review certain art products, because I don't feel comfortable. I don't use them enough. Let's see, that one is PB 29 and PR 122. That's probably going to be kind of like a rose ultramarine. I'm going to do a little more water in there and see if I can force them to split apart a little bit. When you're dealing with granulating colors, you need the water so that the pigments can kind of float and then separate. Ooh, that's pretty. PV20, oh, is that PV23? And PV28 or 29. This is called Turquoise Violet. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's give it some good water here. See what it can do. This is Cezanne, Hahnemühle Cezanne watercolor paper. Oh, I can see them separating in the pans. Look at that, that's starting to really, really go. I don't know if I have enough water in here. Or actually might tack that up on my bulletin board. I have a couple big swatches of granulating colors on my bulletin boards. You kind of need, I'm going to pre-wet this area here. You kind of need a large swatch to see how a color is going to granulate. So I've got some palettes that I've put together with just granulating colors, so I have their swatches to just up on my big bulletin board, so that I can really see what they look like if I'm looking for a particular texture. Because I'm doing like a sky or something where I'm going to have not a lot going on as far as composition, but I want something interesting happening like in a background. I'm going to dab in a little more water there and see what we get. That is Deep Sea, and it's, oh, PB1. That's one you don't see very often. Is that right? PB1? That's the only other paint I've seen that uses that would be White Knights in their Victoria Blue. PB29, PY40, PY150. Wow, that's interesting. I don't necessarily see those undertones in there, but it is kind of a complex color. I'm really liking how that's coming out. This next one is Forest Green. Let's actually do some water there first. I'm not getting a lot of sludge in my water. That's good. Because I haven't been doing I haven't been like picking up from the clean water, because my dirty water's actually stayed pretty clean. But generally you wash your brush in the dirty water and pick up from the clean water. I'm going to drop in a little bit of water and see what I can get to happen here. If you've got granulating colors and you're not getting the texture that you want, it could be a couple things, but try rougher paper, try a paper with more sizing, and try more water. I think hard water can make your paint maybe granulate less. We have a well, so our water it has a lot of minerals in it, and I think that makes paint granulate less, because when I use like a salt water to paint with, which salt softens water, I notice my colors granulate more. So I think if you have hard water, your paints might not granulate quite as well. This one's called Ocean Wave. Isn't that a pretty color? PB27, which would be, Prussian Blue, I believe. PB20, oh my goodness. I think it's 28, but it could be 29. It's kind of small, and you know my glasses situation. So it's either cobalt blue or ultramarine blue. If it's PB28, it's cobalt blue. And I honestly can't make it out. And PG7, which is a phthalo green. Ooh, that's pretty though. I'm going to do a little more water in there and see what we can get to happen. And also, if you want your colors to granulate more, make sure that you let them dry naturally instead of using like a heat tool or a hair dryer. Let's try this one. This is Cobalt Green Hue. PY40, PB29, PG7. This one's bigger printing on it. PY40, let's see, PB29, which would be ultramarine, and PG7, which is your phthalo green. The ultramarine will be giving it the texture, or maybe the PY40. I gotta look that up. There's not too many yellows that will granulate. Nickel yellow does a bit. You don't see that color around very much. It's not as popular as it used to be. PY53. It's well, it's not very robust. It's a very kind of like pale lemon yellow color. Nickel titanate. I think Cotman used to call it lemon yellow, or maybe it was nickel lemon, lemon nickel yellow or something like that. That's a pretty color though. That one's called Shadow Green Dark. I want to do a little more water. I feel like that could be forced into a little bit more granulation. That's PG26. I'm not familiar with that green. PR101, PB29, and PY150. And like I said, I don't have my phone zooming in on the numbers, so, you know, you might want to do your own research and double check my, my notations. Oh, it's pretty though. This one is called Serpent Green. So I wonder if this is anything like Serpentine. I have Daniel Smith's stick of Serpentine. I actually prefer the sticks if I'm going to buy Daniel Smith paint because they're more affordable and then I don't have to wait for them to dry down and the quality seems the same as their tube paints. So, so that's my preference. Mostly because of the price though, and also the convenience. I'm going to add a little more water to that and see if we can get that to chunkify. That is PY150, PR102, and PB28. Unless, because it's small, I could be misreading that one. All right, so pretty. That one, I really like that cobalt green hue because I've got cobalt green and it's not as granulating as that. It's not as pretty as that. So that's kind of nice. I'm excited about that granulating yellow. That's kind of fun. I'm going to have to look up that PR102 because I'm not familiar with that at all. The Flame and Peach. I might need to re-swatch them, maybe with a wetter puddle and see if I can get more action. But these other colors seem to have some good granulation going on, and I think these are going to be fun to play with. So, so I just wanted to share that with you. I will probably, well, we could activate the little dots too while we're at it. Why not? I will probably do the little swatch cards at some other time, just because I have to write things and my penmanship is not the awesomest. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. And what I'm going to do is just kind of pull a little bit of that color out to the edge. Ooh, that's gorgeous. That's called Turquoise Light. Very pretty. That reminds me of kind of like the Turner turquoise that I like. Cobalt. Is it cobalt turquoise? No, I think they just call it turquoise actually. This one, bright yellow. I think, do I have that one? No, that's Tiger's Eye. Bright yellow. This looks like a PY150. And I could look up all that information on their Etsy shop anyway. Sand. This looks almost like a buff titanium. Quite a lot on there. I'd be able to do a couple little like postcard paintings, I think. Probably more. Malachite Natural. Oh, that's interesting. I don't have any malachite, I don't believe. Some colors, especially the mineral pigments and earthier pigments, can be kind of hard to re-wet. Granulating pigments too. That's an interesting color. Rosie sent me a Supervision color that's kind of similar to that. Oh, I can already see it granulating though. That's really pretty. That might be worth grabbing a pan of. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm already seeing flecks, kind of like minty flecks pulling apart there. That's pretty. I like that a lot. I'm going to have to go see what pigment number that is. Something tells me this gift is going to be very expensive. It's going to turn out to be a very expensive endeavor for me. I certainly am not complaining though. Vivinite? Vivinite Gray. Now, I usually don't use pre-mixed grays. That's interesting, though. Oh, I can already see some texture happening here, too. Huh. It's almost, it's a little deeper than a Davies Gray and has more texture than a Davies Gray, but not as cool and dark as a Payne's Gray, which is a mix. Maybe that's a single pigment. It's kind of sooty looking. It'll be interesting to see. Look at this one, though. That one that I said I need to buy. Look at it already, how much it's broken out, how much it's granulated. And this isn't, like, super textured paper or anything, so that would give me a good approximation. Oh, you know what? I don't think this is buff titanium because I'm seeing another color emerge on the wet spot on the dot. So I think that might have some Potter's Pink in it, maybe. Maybe it's buff titanium, Naples Yellow, and Potter's Pink or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of ways to mix colors. Just, I was thinking because of the texture. This is Vivianite Blue. That must be the name of the pigment or something, like the Vivianite Gray. Or maybe it's got the same color mixed in with it to create. Ooh, that's pretty. I think maybe, because I haven't used that many handmade watercolors, and I think the first ones that I used that, you know, like I like the Renaissance pans. Those are handmade watercolors, but they're handmade in a factory. They're not like handmade by a, you know, a person in their home. The first ones I've tried like that, I don't think were my cup of tea, and so I think it kind of made me think I didn't really like handmade watercolors, but these are quite lovely. I'm loving how the texture is kind of emerging now. It's got a green undertone and a gray chunkiness. Sorry about the furnace, guys, but you know, you've heard my winter rant. Blue iron. Oh, that's pretty. This is it's got a very teal. Kind of reminds me of the core cobalt turquoise or teal. The one that's not as bright. That's got instant texture happening. That's another one. That's another one for the pile of. That's another one for the want monster to to obsess about. Let's see. This one is called Granite. These are some really fantastic colors. Very muted. You're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna just have a palette of these. You would definitely use them with your other colors. Which I like that those are in standard pans because I could put them in another palette. Although I like how this isn't really big, and I like how this is separate so I can move it around. I don't have to have it right next to it. That's pretty. That's separating it out already. Because, like, you know, if I have my water dishes, like, I like to have my water buckets like this, but sometimes your palette opens up. Say it's like a tin and it opens up like that, so you have to have them both to the side. It's kind of nice that that's separate pieces so you can arrange your workspace the way you want. Wow, these are gorgeous. My goodness, Masha, Rosie, thank you so much. It was very kind of you. Let's take another look at how our first swatches are grooving now. We really got some beautiful granulation in these green samples. I'm very excited about the cobalt green hue because that's nicer than any of the cobalt greens that I have. And I have I think 3 cobalt greens, like 3 true cobalt greens, and they're not as granulating and as pretty as those. Of course, these are mixes, so that can help you get a more granulating effect. But these are really pretty, and I look forward to using these. And I like that it's a small little compact tray that I could put like in the middle of one of my bigger palettes, and that's just satisfying. And I love that little like transfer. It looks like wood transfer. So I did converse a bit with Masha. Her husband builds these. Her and her husband make these palettes. Aren't they gorgeous? They just fit the little pan so perfectly. That's so satisfying. And the little dish. I can't wait to use these in an actual painting. But I just wanted to share this with you. I know it's kind of fun to see different stuff. You know, I think it's really fun to see different art supplies, even if they're ones that I wouldn't necessarily pick up. It's just fun to know about them. Now here, that's the same thing. I think that I bet that's like a cobalt teal and potter's pink. Because can you see how the colors are splitting apart? I don't know if that's going to show up on camera or not, but it's kind of fun too. I think it's fun to look at the different granulating colors and see what you can make with what you already have as well. That's why I built my granulating palette. I went through all my tubes, which I have quite a few, and I, you know, tested out the ones I thought would granulate, and I ended up making a palette, and that worked out really well. It was fun to make the palette, and it was fun to use the palette. So that's what I would suggest is playing with what you have and seeing what you can come up with. And you know, maybe this gave you a little inspiration to, you know, give it a try. And I will link to her, Masha's shop, Masha's Watercolors on Etsy, and also my friend Rosie's shop, because I use her sketchbooks. They're so wonderful. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it didn't come off as bragging. I don't want anyone to feel bad about what they have or don't have for watercolors. The important thing is just you create with what you have, and I just feel very very touched and very heartwarmed that that Rosie and Masha sent me this. And this came on like one of the coldest days, and I was just so crabby about winter, and I was like, what's this? And then I was like, aw, I've been so crabby, and then this showed up just at the right time. But anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoy these swatching videos. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but something different. Anyway, thanks for watching again. Until next time, happy crafting.